Hello and welcome to Kubby TV. This is Steve Kubby, your host. And today we're going to be talking about someone who's been described as the next Bill Gates of marijuana. And we're talking about Jamon Shiveley, the Microsoft multimillionaire who has publicly announced that he will be going public, national, that he will be doing national branding for their own strains of cannabis. And to tell us more is someone who works closely with Jamon Shiveley, John Davis, the CEO of the Northwest Patients Resource Center and Executive Director of Coalition for Cannabis Standards and Ethics, a self-regulating group within the industry. John, welcome to the program, and what can you tell us about Jamon Shiveley and his company, Diego?
Diego brings skill sets to the table that our community doesn't have, and that is a large corporate structure that's IPO things, investment, things that have to do with larger business. And larger businesses have to be born. Either we create the large business or large business will happen to us. So, and large business is not a bad thing, because large business is going to be what it takes to take down the rest of the nation, to spread this notion of legalization from the small embers of Washington and Colorado throughout the rest of the nation and the rest of the world, to get rid of this silly, failed policy, and to get people out of prison, to end the police state. Big business is not a bad thing. We're not going to accomplish what we need to accomplish worldwide with a small vision. And as I say, big business in cannabis is an eventuality. It will happen. So it is better for us to take that vehicle and put together the components and to do that ourselves. And will that create a national brand? Yeah, I think so. But more importantly, international brand. And if there's an international brand, there is international legalization, and that's really what I care about. All Diego wants to do is to be the Louis Vuitton of cannabis. And I think that that will happen, so sure. I think it's entirely appropriate for them to be trying to form that vision now in history. My company is emerging markets, right? My company is to go into other states and to start the political process of saying, look, not only is legalization an inevitability to begin with, but look at the positive things we've done in Washington. We want to come into your state and to really be engaged in opening up new markets and going into areas and being cognizant about the fact that you have neighbors and you have local politics, and if you piss your neighbors off, no one else is going to want you in their neighborhood. But to come into neighborhoods and show success, so the communities of those neighborhoods say, yes, these people opened up here, and youth use went down. Youth availability of other drugs went down. There was no crime associated with it. We realized tax revenue, and they kept to themselves, kept their parking lots clean. That's what success looks like. So it's a complex structure, but I believe it's one that's going to work, and that's why I'm pursuing it. Cannabis tourism in Washington State has huge potential. I was actually a little surprised that when the U.S. attorneys came out and said, it's got to be 1,000-foot property line to property line, that they also didn't require some sort of residency requirement. I was really surprised about that. I thought if they were going to say anything, they would include that, but they didn't. So It's legal for anyone over the age of 21 to go into these shops and get cannabis. And Amsterdam has cannabis tourism now. I think that Seattle will become a tourist destination. And you know, there's already tourist destinations in Colorado. I don't think Denver's the big market. I think the ski areas are going to be big for cannabis tourism. But we work with the Seattle's Department of Economic Development, and they realize the potential. But the problem is, of course, there are no pot shops yet. But in the future, I think that you'll see that. For HempFest, we had a tourist group from North Korea come to HempFest, right? So there is, I think, great potential. You start with an understanding of policy, or by aligning yourself with someone who understands policy, because I assure you, it's very complex what's going on out there. And I mean, just Joe Guy getting into the cannabis market. I mean, I think what most people think is, oh, I better go talk to a lawyer. Well, you know, let me save you the $500 for the initial consultation. All marijuana is illegal federally in all amounts for any purpose. You can go to jail for a number of things, including criminal conspiracy, banking fraud, money laundering. It's all illegal. Nice. If you don't know what you're doing and do the wrong thing, yes, you can go to federal prison. And you're not going to be able to get a bank unless you know what you're doing. You're going to have real trouble permitting, doing any other thing that a normal business does. You know, getting your business license. You know, under what category. But these things are evolving, but it takes some knowledge about what you're doing. This business is more complex than other businesses because you still have the same realities as any other business, but you have the complexity of it being federally illegal and having to conform to the policy as well.
Okay, well, that's been another great show. Thank you, John Davis. Thank you, audience, for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow. This is Steve Kubby, Kubby TV. You can also catch us on Pot TV, Cannabis Culture, and other premium websites on the internet. Until then, this is Steve Kubby wishing you a great 420 day.
It's the proximity of what I hope to be. The weight so heavy where I stand. The indecision builds within my twisted sense of self.